Let's move on to Ukraine, or as Vladimir Putin calls it, bonus Russia. Ukraine was rocked this week by some horrifying news.
A prominent Russian journalist critical of Moscow's policies in Ukraine and Syria has been shot and killed in Kiev.
Yes, Arkady Babchenko, a prominent Putin critic, was tragically murdered on Tuesday. And that's what made what happened on Wednesday even more remarkable.
His friends, his family, even his wife thought he was dead. But today, a shocking turn of events. A Russian journalist, Arkady Babchenko, turned up alive on Ukrainian TV. As it turns out, his fake death was all part of what was described as a special operation to take down a team of Russian assassins.
It's true. Babchenko faked his death to bring down a team of Russian assassins, which sounds less like a legitimate news story than the plot of a spy thriller called Your Dad Would Really Love This Book. Apparently, the plan to fake his death came about after authorities learned of a $40,000 contract to assassinate him, paid for by Russian forces. The plot was allegedly organised by a man identified only as Mr. G, which I assume refers to this man. That's right, Kenny, your cover is finally blown, and it's obvious in hindsight, you simply can't play jazz as smooth as that without secretly being a monster. And look, some of the details of this fake assassination are amazing. Apparently, a makeup artist came to Babchenko's apartment to stage his death, and his wife later found him like this, lying face down in a pool of his own blood, which it turns out was actually pig's blood. He was then transferred to an ambulance, pronounced dead, and taken to a morgue where, according to him, he turned on the TV and watched the news of his own murder, which is objectively pretty cool. The only way it could have been any cooler is if he watched it while sipping cocktails on a Caribbean beach with Tupac Shakur. And look, his co-workers were understandably amazed by this surprise news conference. I mean, that is truly incredible to watch, mainly because of how refreshing it is to see an office where people actually like their co-workers. Normally, if an office found out a co-worker they thought had died was actually alive, they just quietly nod and go right back to talking shit about him on G-Chat. But other media... Some of you laughed too hard at that. But other media colleagues were not quite as thrilled as CNN discovered when they reached out to one of his friends on the phone.
I think the overriding emotion that we all have right now is that, you know, we're very pissed off because he sort of put us through hell.
Yeah, and you know what? That's an understandable response. In fact, I believe the Apostle Paul's first words to the resurrected Jesus were, "Real funny, shitbird." And look, it wasn't just his colleagues with cause to be angry, as a London radio host pointed out.
And he apologised to his wife. Wait for this. Good Lord. He apologised to his wife because she knew nothing about any of this. So when she found her husband at the foot of the stairs in a pool of blood, having apparently been shot in the back, that was very real to her. That is, my goodness me, it's going to take quite a bunch of flowers to get over that, isn't it?
It is. And you're right, he probably should get his wife some flowers, and he won't actually have to spend any money on them since he can pick up a ton for free at his own grave. Now, later reports indicated that Babchenko's wife was actually also in on the hoax, but at this point, who can know anything anymore? Is he even married, or is his wife just Babchenko in a dress, holding a fake passport, ready to flee the country? And that is the problem here, and it's why some reporters criticise Babchenko, arguing that this plays into Russia's hands in dismissing actual crimes as fake news. And Babchenko has been borderline cocky in the wake of this operation.
Having cheated death, Arkady Babchenko says he will live to dance on Vladimir Putin's grave.
Well, I really hope that's true, Babs, but I wouldn't be so sure. First, you're implying that because you successfully faked your death, you're somehow immune from future assassination, which I don't think is how anything works. And more importantly, you're assuming that Putin will end up in a grave. And there's just no way that's true, because when Putin does die in 400 years, his body will simply explode into hundreds of bats that scatter into the night sky. That is simply a fact. Now, finally tonight, we'd like to